Hello, is everyone with me? Right, sorry, I messed up. Basically, I was trying to do it through the software to do it, and well, I remembered why I started doing it through there a few months ago because it wasn't actually working properly. So yeah, so I'm doing it for Hangouts on Air, which is just all I can really do. So everyone, move over here from the other one, and I'll delete that one off and we can get started. So we've got an hour and a half to go until Doctor Who Genesis lands. It's a film which I'm actually quite tired of now because, I've been working on it solidly for not just the last month and a half, but also for the last 9 months I've been planning it out. So as you can expect, I'm pretty worn out of it now. So yeah, basically I'm just going to answer questions and stuff as normally. And let's see how we go. So we've got an hour and a half, and use it wisely. I can't really tell you anything about Genesis because, well, that's spoilers, and you know, um, but we can talk about the stuff before Genesis and the stuff you already know about Genesis as well. I might be able to give you a few clues, but I'm not going to tell you the whole plot now. That's what I'll be doing in an hour and a half's time, anyway. So, get started with questions, and I'll start answering, well, the best I can. Unless, you ask spoilery questions about Genesis, or who's Earth's companion, or something like that. Or when is Doctor Who Genesis coming out? Which I'll say, mate, it is at 12. So, ask away. Please do. Which series was the best season to work on? No, I don't know. All different experiences, I guess. You can't really judge the older ones compared to what you do now because, well, the new ones are so much different. Like Doctor Who season 47 to 48 very different to like season 27 28, Panopticon series 7 was very stressful and very difficult to work on, but it was very rewarding, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure. Why did you take forever to make Genesis? Well, the reason why it took forever to make Genesis, Robert, is because it's a 46-minute long video, and it's it was a plot very difficult to make work properly. So you'll see when you watch it. I'm gonna remake the season 27 to 35 vids. At some point, the plan is to do some sort of remake, whether that's like a documentary or a series of documentaries or something like that, or if it takes place just literally remaking the videos. But at the moment, they're staying as they are, just retcon the new title sequences in your head and a few little other changes. So the wiki is the ever expanding canon of what I've Doctor was an axe, so that will be, according to me, what actually happened. And the videos are more sort of representations, as I've always said. So, will any previous Doctors or companions appear aside from the confirmed ones? Well, the only Doctors that are confirmed to appear in the film are 14, 13, and 1. Take that how you will. And no companions are confirmed to be in the film. Sorry, I can't stay long. My question is that some of the series made up by you? Yes, a lot of it is. And a lot, and I mean a lot of guesswork, because at this point, we're in 2013, and it's just creating an alternate timeline. It's going from each season to the next and working out what it's going to do. That's what I say in the intro of every video. So of course, it's all made up by me. That's the whole point, and that's why some people don't like it. But I say again, I class it as speculative fiction, speculation. And I guess that's why you like it. I guess that's why you watch, because it'd be pretty boring if it was just literally I did the VNAs sort of the first era, and then when Big Finish comes in, I literally just do Big Finish of the screen, and then I literally just do the new series, something like that, because that would be pretty boring. So, who was the best choice for the Doctor? Well, if you talk about who the best choice of 14 was, it was Samantha Bond. That's why we chose her. Hi there, I'm not sure I managed to watch the premiere. I have some work to do, but I'll try my best. Thank you, PT Common Productions. Also knows the boy who holds the keys. Same person. It actually took me a stupidly long time to realise that. But, I've known for like 9 months or whatever. So, when you first started, how long were you planning to continue the series for? I wasn't really, well, when I did the first video, I wasn't really planning on doing another. I decided to do 28 for some reason, because it started out as a blog originally, of course. So I think I had something in the back of my mind that was, again, this wasn't supposed to be videos. I'm not even really sure. I think I was just seeing where it went. I certainly did not expect to still be doing it 3 years on. And hopefully it finishes within the next sort of year or two, because I really don't want to be doing this for like the rest of my life, because it'd be very annoying, because it is non-stop work. After I finish a video, even before I finish a video, I'm already working on the next one. I already have so much of season 49 already planned out, but actually the production of the video takes the longest. And by production, I mean the production is the period between it's basically the writing period. I call it the production period, which is weird because isn't that really pre-production? But that's what sort of the main production period is. But the pre-production is everything that is before the publishing of the previous video, I would say, and that all of the times takes a lot of work. So yeah. Will we get to see TARDIS interior pictures, renegade tunnels in the future? Spoilers. How many more Panopticon series is there to make videos on? None. Panopticon's done. I'm sorry. If you watch Panopticon Series 7, I do clearly state that it's the final series of Panopticon. Which What Daughters and Acts companions would be great as canon? No, that is a question. Which would you like to be canon? I guess the most interesting companion, I think, is Angela Jensen. It's something quite different, and I think she would have been a great addition. And I think, if we go with, what we're having since 2007, I think she would have actually worked quite well with David Tennant. Sandra Armstrong, I think, is a very good companion. So yeah, I think, would she work? Well, with 9, I think Sandra with 9 would have been quite good. But yeah, Chris and Zen, obviously, I think we're a very strong team. I know who certainly I wouldn't want to be canon, and that's probably someone called Sammy Thompson, which is a blunder, I know, but one which is part of the War of Drugs and Acts universe anyway. And it's, nothing always goes right, and that's what happens in real universe. So yeah. Will there be any Americans in the pool of possible actors and actresses for 14? We don't consider any Americans for 14. Certainly not. I wouldn't be against it for 15. If there might be some in consideration, I don't know. We haven't even started thinking about 15 yet, because, well, we're just trying to get through the battle of this sort of block of videos, from Endgame to now to 49. All this sort of section it's been non-stop, and hopefully we can slow down a bit. It shouldn't make any difference to you, but because we just have so much going on, me and Matt have just been over our heads, really. So yeah. Without spoiling anything, will previous monsters or other villains appear? Technically, yes. In Genesis, yes. How do you end the series then? As I've said multiple times, and I think is on the front page of the wiki, or was at some point, the series will end when we reach the present day, whenever that be. So if I finish the season 2020, 2021, when we reach that time, that's when the series will end. And I do plan to, when we get to the actual release dates of what would actually happen, to continue updating it. But there's no point, we're in 2020 and I'm doing a video about Doctor Who in 2025, because that's just not going to be accurate, is it? I can't predict what's going to be happening in 5 years' time. Will you make a trailer for Blink with Paul McGann footage? I have tried 3 times and I have failed, to quote our glorious leader Theresa May. Yeah, it's just difficult. And also, as many people pointed out, Carrie Mulligan could not have performed Sally Sparrow in 1996. So yeah. What would be your reaction if Michael Grade put What Doctor Hacks on an 18-month hiatus? One of Glee, because at least I have a break. What do you think of Cillian Murphy as a Doctor? Well, I don't know anything about Cillian Murphy, or how it's pronounced, because I don't even know who that is. Sorry. I'll make sure to look him up though. It would be interesting if there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Right. Thank you. I just realised something. The period between Endgame to Genesis could be considered as wilderness years of this universe. Perhaps, but there was always the confirmation that Doctor was coming back. And there's actually, well, I think the most Doctor Who content produced ever in the whole Doctor Who universe happened in the period Doctor Who wasn't on air. Because between Endgame and Genesis, you got 3 series of Panopticon, you got 2 series of Cold Front, and you've also got 2 movies bookending it. There's so much stuff happening there. It's quite ridiculous, actually. No Panopticon and Cold Front, the spin-offs count. Yes, I think what Robert's trying to say there is that the spin-offs do count, and very much so, because if you didn't watch the spin-offs, you would not have seen the debut of the 14th Doctor. Because, well, yeah, the 14th Doctor first appeared in the spin-off, which makes sense, because it's the only way we can handle such a big storyline as sort of the Doctor's resurrection. So yeah. Although in Genesis, you'll see how that's handled, because obviously, Paramount are very insistent on continuity between movies, as we'll see. I thought if Doctor Who was an axe and got US backing as timeline hit, it would be Universal that paired up rather than Paramount, as the format of the 1996 movie. Wasn't it Fox? I'm pretty sure Fox did the 1996 movie. I think Universal were the distributors, but Fox were the production. And anyway, there's loads of production companies. Paramount's the one that I chose because I thought they're the most likely to sort of foray into that sort of sci-fi of sort of Doctor Who. And they also had UPN, which was something, they had a broadcast station, a proper one, which was sort of, they were launching it at that time, very interestingly. So Doctor Who would have been the thing they would have snabbed for UPN, because they're trying to launch it for all these big shows. And I think Doctor Who is what they would have taken. One thing that I have sort of retconned out, and I have said this to a few people though, is that in the Doctor in America video, I say that in 2006, when CBS get the rights to Doctor Who, BBC America get Doctor Who. No, that's not happening, because it makes no sense whatsoever. CBS show Doctor Who on CBS. They wouldn't be a co-production if not, because that's just stupid. So yeah, BBC America don't get it. It's CBS that they broadcast it, obviously. How did Paul McGann's Blink work in 1996 at time before DVDs? Well, I've been thinking about this question, actually, because he put it on Reddit, I think, or someone did. And I think it would have improved it, because DVDs were around very, very early. Like, they were very, very rare. Hello. Oh, my microphone's back. Sorry, I think that just the cable fell out for a second. I don't know exactly what I got to, so I'll just start the last question again. How did Paul McGann's Blink work in 1996? It was a time before DVDs. Well, I think actually, after reading what you put on Reddit, and I've had to think about this, it would improve it slightly, because well, DVDs were very rare, and there's a whole thing in the Blink that Sally Sparrow doesn't own any DVDs. I'm sorry, but in 2007, you will know what DVDs are. You will own one. I mean, and I think it makes much more sense in 1996 for Sally Sparrow not to really know what DVDs are, and that makes it much more interesting with the whole Easter egg stuff. And I think that would have improved it. Now, and I wouldn't put it past Doctor Who making a story basically about this new medium, DVDs, which had just began. And actually, giving them quite some publicity for their beginnings. So, yeah. Prediction, the new spin-off will be a master spin-off. No, we haven't got any plans to do a master spin-off, because, well, the problem is, what would you do with it? Because you can do Obey, all right? And Obey is what we had for the Cold Front episode, but there's only so far that storyline can take you, because even Obey was struggling to work out a decent storyline for it. So yeah, I don't think a whole spin-off series can sustain that properly. I mean, Big Finish have done fine on their War Master series, but I don't think personally I'd be able to do something which would have fresh new ideas to be able to support a series with. Whereas, other spin-offs, well, Panopticons was a godsend, because look how different Panopticon was from beginning to end. And hello, is that working again? Sorry, my microphone's really bad at the moment, really bugging out. Anyway, it's a testament that, what was I saying? Yeah, talk about Panopticon, wasn't I? It's a testament that Panopticon managed to sustain the show franchise in 2 years for 3 series on its own without the support of the main show, which shows just how good of a show it would have been. Would the Paramount Restoration Project be available in box sets? Yes. The box sets that I keep showing the things of in the sort of the earlier videos, like season 34 to 39, I kept showing the images of. Those ones with the Hartnell logo on, those are the ones with the restoration ones on. And I know those are the newer series, but there would have been one of those for each season with all the restoration stuff on. If you could pick a story from any season into our canon, obviously the best ones, I think, of all would have been something like The Facade, but I don't think The Facade could work in our canon, because The Facade, despite being a very, very good story, is that the problem is that you really have to have a black doctor and a black companion for that story to work. And we need a black doctor and a black companion for that to work. Otherwise, the story listeners will wait. So yeah, if we had a black doctor and a black companion at some point, then The Facade is certainly the one I would choose. Apart from that, I don't really know. Maybe something like Evil of the Gynes. I don't know. Best Panopticon episode. I don't know. I keep changing my mind about this. The dice has been cast, resurrected. All those sort of ones. Doctor, even. Something good. You know better than me. I've had to have the burden of trying to work. Create them. Which, it's harder for me to judge them fairly if they're all my babies, really, isn't it? In your timeline, what would have been the series that revived the show? Because I imagine it wouldn't be instantly popular after season 26. Season 28, season 29, because we've got... Well, the thought process behind it was that the idea was, what if Doctor Who had been given one more season, season 27? And the reason it wasn't active for season 27 is that a new Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, they get a new... Sylvester McCoy's regenerated off, they get a new Doctor. And I think the BBC would have said, okay, we've got a new Doctor, it's Richard Griffiths, he's quite a popular actor. Give it another go, because we give him his season, because, you've got a new Doctor, it gives us this idea for a new launch. And then that launches, and he starts to pick up steam, because people start tuning in, because it's something new, interesting going on. It's Richard Griffiths, quite a well-known actor. And then season 28, 29, season 29, when it goes back on BBC One and sort of gets the longer run time, that's when it picks up. And those sort of the Griffiths years is what sheds up street steam. And then by the end of the Griffiths years, we're back on Doctor Who as a show people watch again. So it's the introduction of a new Doctor at that point, and it being Richard Griffiths is what saves the show, really. So any more questions? Just keep them in. We've still got an hour and 10 minutes to go. Hopefully the sound doesn't go off again. I'm holding the cable firmly back in my microphone. It's because I have to hold it so close to my mouth. So you don't know how many times this happens during the recording of actual episodes when I'm recording the scripts and it keeps falling out. It's ridiculous. I've got no more questions coming in, so ask some more, please. Otherwise, this will be a very boring hour and 10 minutes. If you were to recast a companion, which one and who would be in the role? Oof, I don't know. I'm happy with all of them cast. It's only someone like Grace Holloway that's a bit unrealistic, because the chances of a companion called Grace Holloway, who's pretty much the same character as the TV movie version, played by Daphne Ashbrook, is a bit loose. I think that's probably the biggest stretch in the What If Doctor was an action universe at all. And that's kind of doing the thing of, let's do VNAs and let's do the TV movie, then let's do Big Finish. That's sort of that whole philosophy of the series. And it's kind of like it's doing that up until we get to Sandeman. What's your favourite Doctor thing with timeline? At the moment, I would say it's 13th Doctor, David Suchet. That's just a Doctor I seem to like. I do have a soft spot for all of them. The ones that I like the least is probably the 9th Doctor and the 7th Doctor, and that's just because they're existing Doctors in our universe, so you tend to sort of think liking them is kind of cheating, whereas you look at all the rest that are original to this universe. So, I don't know. I do like all of them, but 13 is the one I have to choose. I wonder if Samantha Bond's tenure was his storyline tackling misogyny, given the Gamergate controversy of 2014 during the first season. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's inevitable with a female Doctor for at some point that to come up in whatever form it will be. And certainly Dr. Genesis, her sex is referenced, but it's not like a big deal or anything. And maybe we might see some sort of story about misogyny later on. At the moment, I don't think we have anything for 49 planned on that, but certainly season 50 could see something about that, and I wouldn't think it's something they wouldn't do. I think they definitely would do that at some point. Favorite regeneration story? I would say Doctor Who Endgame, but it's not really. Is it It's weird because it's not a regeneration story; it's a death story, but it becomes a regeneration. So, if I just say Endgame Doctor, say Endgame Doctor Genesis as like one snippet, that's the regeneration story. I think that's the best we've done it. For Genesis, do the new returning Doctors get new costumes as their original costume on? As I said, the only returning Doctors in Doctor Who Genesis are the ones that are in their costumes on the poster. 1, 13 and 14. You'll see why in just over an hour. What do you think of a Doctor Who animated series? I wouldn't be against it. It's not something we've considered for What If Doctor Was an Axe. Maybe that might happen. I don't know. It's not something that's in consideration at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I wouldn't be against it. I'm not the biggest fan of animation, but I know. But if there was a Doctor Who animated series, I'll certainly watch it because it's Doctor Who. So and a lot of people, something like Big Finishers with animation, and I know they would find that a lot easier to watch because there are a lot of people that don't listen to Big Finish just because they need some sort of visual reference. And I will admit, some of the problem I have with Big Finish is that while I enjoy listening to it at the time, and I thoroughly enjoy listening to them, as soon as I put the audio down, finish it, I forget absolutely what happened because I have no frame of reference in my mind, visual frame of reference to remember it. So, will there be more revamped title sequences? Yes, there will be, and we do have some in the works at the moment. Some almost ready for release, actually. But we're just waiting, and you will get some in the future, certainly. I just need to make all of the Griffiths ones first, really, which I need time for, and not be working my socks off on these videos. Ben, wouldn't the biggest stretch in the What Doesn't Act universe be EastEnders actress companion? No, because it's a BBC actress who is, on EastEnders, and Doctor Who is not very far for them to go. And that's sort of the actors Andy Pryor will be looking at, because Andy Pryor just cast a lot of people from that kind of thing. And also, let's not forget that we have had EastEnders actresses as companions in this universe. Big Finish have had a few. Even Had the TV series had any? I don't know, but there have been certainly a lot of people in the TV series who have also been on EastEnders. Let's not forget. We nearly got Hannah Barbera, but we failed to get the rights, and we got Fontaine as results. I'm not sure what you're going on about that. Have I missed a previous comment or something? That just seems a bit random. When you retcon based on the time order, come up with a realistic way she could assist, so I have a theory headcanon for that. I don't know. That's something I have to ask in the future and work out. At the moment, I'm just trying to work on the current. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Any Big Finish Doctor stories you would have added? Do you mean just Big Finish Doctor stories in the canon? Or what Doctor and Axe? Well, we've already got a few. And there might be more in the future. But yeah, you have to wait and see. David Suchet is the only Doctor to never regenerate. Yeah. I'm guessing Doctors 2 and 3 will make cameos in Genesis through stock footage like on a screen or something. You can guess that. I thought David Suchet would regenerate into Samantha Bond. Well, David Suchet is the 13th Doctor and Samantha Bond is the 14th Doctor, and they are both in this film. But we did see the sort of regeneration in Penobscot Series 7, with 13 turning into Connie, and then Connie turning into 14. You know, it's almost kind of like the War Doctor, I guess, but the War Doctor is much more of a proper Doctor than Connie, because Connie was very much an in-between step. So yeah, how will there be regeneration Genesis? As I've just said, that's kind of spoilers. So you'll see in an hour's time. Let's not talk about any sort of spoiler Genesis stuff, and let's move over. Hanna-Barbera was an animation company that almost got the right start too. Ah, okay. Well, right. Which companion's worse, Sammy or Gemma? Sammy. Because you've got a solid 5 years of her. Gemma does less than a season. And she's not a bad companion. I think she would have been very good, especially in her first story when it's all about her. And I think she would have been a very compelling companion. But 3 companions is too much. And 13, Zenla, and Chris are a very strong team. And frankly, she would have got in the way. I think in Broken Shackles, she would have been very good. And I think in Evil Guy, she would have been very good when she's trying to shine. But the rest of it, she's just kind of there. Why bring back Gregory in Series 7? Because we needed closure to that story, I think. And we're sort of rounding up the series and bringing every storyline to an end. And we need closure for Phaedra, we needed closure for Gregory. And, you know, we needed a way for Phaedra to find out that she's the Doctor. And that's a way that worked. Well, not according to the boy who holds the keys, but it's a way that worked enough. So yeah, that I've got to the end of the questions I've currently got there. So if you want us to send some more in, do so, because we are still an hour away. We've had half an hour of this already, gosh, but we're still an hour away from the video. So continue asking in. Matt seems to still be asleep since he's still not answering any of the messages I've sent him. So it looks like it's still me. When you're using stories based on existing material, do you actually watch the story and listen to watch the research? I do now. In the early days, I didn't, because they were basically all VNAs, and I hadn't bothered to do them. But now, well, ever since the start of Chapter 3, anything based on existing material, I have seen and watched. There's nothing in there which I haven't seen and watched since the start of Chapter 3. And I do intend to, you know, get caught up in some of the other stuff that exists in the series. But yeah, I was more sloppy and the early seasons, as you can see, because a lot of decisions are a bit weird in some of those early series. But since Chapter 3, I think, you know, it's been quite good, I'd say. Will the original 1963 theme be used for Genesis? Wait an hour. Actually, you'll have to wait a bit longer than an hour, because you've got to get through the video right to the end. Also, spoilers. We've had Eccleston, Tennant, and Capaldi playing supporting roles in the timeline. Just Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker to go. No, Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker both had guest stars in certain episodes. You have to check the end credits for those. But Matt Smith appeared in a season 45 video in the episode, and I'm not sure what Jodie Whittaker appeared in, but she did appear in one. So yeah, Whittaker was in 48. There we go. So yes, all of them have been used up. Although there is always the chance that one of them can come back in another role, because that is not unprecedented. Without spoiling it, can we see more American companions in the future? We don't have any American companions planned at the moment, but I'm sure there will be some at some point, because American companions, foreign companions in general, is a common theme in Doctor Who. A problem with Gemma is that she was added late into Roma 48, meaning she didn't have much to do in anything other than Broken Shackles, which I assume was just written for her. Yeah, Broken Shackles was written for her. It was, in fact, the Phantom Doctor was the story which we put in late, which replacing the story which fell through for us, because it wasn't exactly working. And I imagine in sort of the universe of what Doctor was next, that original story that replaced the Phantom Doctor would have been instead replaced by Broken Shackles. So it would have gone Checkmate, that story, which is called What's Happened. I won't give too much detail about that in case we decide to use it in the future. And then it would have gone, Silver Turk, Phantom Doctor, or whatever order it is. So yeah, but I think Broken Shackles are doing very good, because not only do we have a story all about Gemma where she's centre stage and she would have been able to shine, we also have the Archnauts in there, and we have Vicky. Let's not forget we have the whole Vicky storyline. So I think Broken Shackles would actually be a very good story. Do you like any of the sci-fi series films other than Doctor Who? Yes, I am a big Star Trek fan. Favorite Star Trek's Deep Space Nine, favorite Star Trek films, Undiscovered Country. I like Battlestar Galactica a lot, both of them, the 1978 version and the 2004 version. That's probably why I like Ronald D. Moore so much, because he's such a fantastic writer. I like his other work as well, Outlander, which I was and Ronald D. Moore both worked on. It's a fantastic show, which sadly would not exist in the What Doctor Snatch universe, because both of them are busy on Doctor Who, selfishly. So yeah, that show's not happening. Sorry. Other sci-fi series I like, obviously, and Blake 7, obviously. Doctor Who, that's again sort of kind of Doctor Who reference, sort of connection. The Avengers, and I'm not talking about this superhero saga because I can't stand superheroes, sorry. But I mean the 60s Avengers series, because that's brilliant. And then I like other TV shows. Many people know my love for House of Cards, and not really, well, I do like the American version, but it's the British version, the original version, which I'm really into. So yeah, there are lots of stuff I like. So, since Classic Doctor Who is now coming on Blu-ray in an archive collection, would Doctor Who season 27 to 42, which Doctor Who series 27 to 42 would you pick? What do you mean? Just to release? Well, I've been making the covers of the sort of collection Blu-rays for some of the What Doctor Acts ones. So have a look at some of those. But if any of those out there that I would want to just come out straight away, 48 would be interesting, wouldn't it? I would say, because you've got, I don't know. 48, I would say. Did you plan on using Emily Rickerson or Michael Weatherly in any sort of role? No. Would you consider having John Hurt guest star in a pre-2017 story if we have already? I won't be against it. We'll just have to find the right story for him, and it would have to be the right opportunity as well, because you can't just get John Hurt for any story. He can't just be, old codger, can he? He has to have a decent, substantial role that he would actually agree to, and we'd have to find the right story for him. There was a part in season 49 which could have gone to him. I don't know if we considered him for it, but thinking about it, as a part that would have worked for him. But there's another actor that takes that part, and one that I'm very happy with having that part. And you'll see what I mean when season 49 comes out. Will we see any Outlander writers in season 49 onwards? Yes, there are a few that pop up just because they're writers that Ronald D. Moore has worked with, but most of them we checked were already sci-fi writers and would realistically write for Doctor Who, because Outlander is a sci-fi show, yes, but it uses sci-fi as its tool, narrative device to get to. It's basically historical drama with sci-fi sprinkled through it. More fantasy kind of sci-fi. It's about time travel, but you need to watch it to understand. Season 6B / season 28, 23A canon in this universe. It's like this, like our current universe. It's unconfirmed canon, but there's no reason in that they would have confirmed it. They didn't confirm it, but they're not saying denying it. You know, it holds the exact same canon status in this universe as that universe. I would definitely been pushing to join the show in late 2015 in this timeline. Not sure how successful I would have been. Right, I'm not sure exactly what you mean like that. In the real show, it would in the real show, do you usually have a reintroduction every 5 years show? Where it's jumping on points for new fans being your series, I think. You mean, well, I would say jumping on point one, season 27, obviously, because, well, I'd say Crime of the Century, halfway through season 27, is a jumping on point, because that's when sort of that's basically when the Griffith series starts, 2 stories to the end of Sylvester McCoy. Next jumping on point would be probably return. Yeah, again, 2 stories at the end of Griffiths. We get Trouble in San Francisco. Be a jumping on point. Jumping on point. Cast at Time Forgot, certainly jumping on point. No Sky in Space, very much jumping on point. Then the movies are jumping on point, which you watch through. And then every movie after that's kind of a jumping on point. But if we look at just TV, Slime and Awakenings are jumping on point, and just a sort of H Doctor's era. And then obviously, the first episode of season 49 would definitely be jumping on point because it's basically a new series. You know, we start chapter 4. It is kind of a reboot almost. I mean, it's not because, you know, the last story of chapter 3 features the 14th Doctor, the chapter 4 Doctor. So that blends in, but her era really starts with the start of 49, and nothing really from Genesis is particularly important right then at the start of 49. Genesis is almost like a prologue for her, I'd say. Well, you'll see. John Hurt was in the credits of Plan B. Well, there you go. We've had John Hurt in the timeline in Plan B. Great. What's the most important story in the What Doctor Night's timeline? I would say Doctor Endgame. It's very significant and sort of very, you know, very interesting, very unique, you know, very different for Doctor Who story, especially the ending, obviously. How many Doctors are in Genesis? As I've said again, the only Doctors you know that are in Genesis are 14, 13, and 1. You'll have to see what happens in 50 minutes' time. Any more questions? I've got to the end of all the questions I have on here. So continue asking away. We've still got 50 minutes to fill. You know, rambling with the viewers here, which, you know, that's the point of these countdowns, to get, you know, a load of viewers in so we can watch Doctor Genesis all at the same time, because there's no point having a chat on a What Doctor Night's video if there's about 2 things being said on it, like on Conference Series 2. So, you know, let's have 20 people on that chat reacting to something very reacting worthy, I think, Doctor Genesis. And it's the 50th anniversary, for goodness sake. So there are a lot of references in it. There are a lot of canon things, which makes sense because it's Gary Russ, and also it's the 50th anniversary. You know, any 50th anniversary has that. Our 50th anniversary, despite all its faults, had a lot of reference and stuff very subtle. You know, there's a thing which happens in the film, which Hello, hello. I'm back. Oh, sorry. Right, what was I saying? There's a lot of references in it, and that's just because, um, it's the 50th anniversary. But there's not many references which are really annoying because, again, the films have to appeal to a mass market of people, or else it's not going to make any money at the box office. And there's nothing which is particularly ridiculously fan servicey that it alienates the normal viewer. I don't think. Of course, a lot of it is fan service, but it's fan service which works. I think. Yeah. By the way, you're singing 50 minutes time. Who is your favorite Doctor this time? We've already had this question. I said David Suchet. How many Doctors have you planned out? We haven't done 15 yet. We've literally got up to where we are now in the series. We have 14-0 planned out, roughly, and we know when 14 is going to leave, but we haven't got anything more than that planned out because we prefer doing it just sort of in chunks. Because if we plan all the way up to the future now, it takes away the excitement for me and Matt, really, because if we plan something out, a year before we actually doing, which we did with 14, we did with Genesis and stuff. By the time we get to now, the joy really goes out of it. Part of the reason Genesis has taken so long is because I've been bored by it. Because if I'd done it 9 months ago when we first started coming up with the ideas, I would have been so interested by it. But writing it after so long of just having it there gets boring. So there's no point planning out so much stuff into the future when we can just do it every few years, every few months as we do it. On the topic of anniversaries, do you think Doctor 2003 would be referred to as some by the best Doctor story in history in the humans media has released it? Yes, because that's what happened with Day of the Doctor. And that tends to happen because people, post episode delusion, I say. And people have just been sort of miffed by, sort of starstruck by that episode, by the story. And yeah, looking back at it now, you can see it's kind of weak. Yeah, what really is the plot of that film? Can anyone summarize it? Because, yeah. Do you think CBS would have put some of their stars in guest spots in episode of Doctor Who? Well, just look at any Doctor Who episode that has anyone who's ever been in a CBS show, and that answers your question better than I can. What do you think, PP? What did you think of PB Productions' attempt at a What Doctor from that series? I haven't seen that. I don't think. Is that the really bad one? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. How many masters are you planning on doing? We haven't got any plans, as I've just said, just spoke about the future beyond literally season 50 at the moment. We're probably in the next few weeks draw some plans for a bit further on. So the latest master we have planned and the latest master you have is Jason Isaacs. Are you going to be a writer for Doctor Who in real life? If not, you definitely should. Well, that's not something I can really dictate, can I? That would certainly be the dream, but well, the chances of that happening are pretty low. And writing is very different to this because this is coming up with the ideas, this is coming up with the stories, and there's a difference between writing basically treatments for episodes and doing the actual writing, doing the actual scripts, which is, trust me, much, much harder. And writing good scripts as well. Treatments I can certainly do with a lot of hard work. Genesis has been hard, but hopefully that pays off. Why Jeffrey Belden is a massive 2005-2006? I don't know. That's just who we wanted, and he made sense. I think Matt suggested him actually. So, how many episodes have you been doing altogether in Universe? Well, the current episode count altogether is on the wiki, and that is 1,151 episodes as of Doctor Who Endgame of the Doctor Who series, including Classic Who, including everything, individual episodes. That's how many there are. If that's what you're asking, I don't know. Anyway, ask more questions if you want. We still have 45 minutes to go. I have the end of what we currently have. Also getting a very sore throat, so excuse me if I drink water. Let's hope the microphone doesn't bug out again as well. Anyway, continue asking away. The first Doctor in the Post-Genesis, specifically a CGI head or Photoshop Bill Hartnell. I explained this more in the video, but I suppose it's not too spoilery saying now. The first Doctor is done with CGI in the film, with David Bradley as the motion capture, and it'd be done very much in the same way as Peter Cushing in Rogue One 3 years later in our universe, and it'd be done by the same effects team. So yeah, you'll get more explanation on exactly how that works in the video. I just spent about 2 or 3 minutes explaining it. But yeah, thankfully El Patron, Boldly Stretched, Crispy Pro, Channel Pop, and Neurotic Channel wouldn't exist when 40 got announced. Yes, they wouldn't exist. I suppose there would have been people like that. There would have been a similar sort of backlash, obviously. But I think for 2 reasons it would have been diminished compared to what you have in this universe. One, I think that firstly, the sort of SJW hating culture we have now was in its infancy in 2013. It wasn't as major as now because I think the turning point was that Star Wars 7 film. So I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I can't remember the name. Which everyone seemed to kick off about all these sort of people who didn't like a female Doctor, and I think that's what started it. And in 2013, it wasn't as big, and I think it's not the media that's changed; it's the people that have changed, and they started getting really annoyed about this sort of thing. So I think because that reason is the first reason people wouldn't have kicked off as much, and the second reason is because in your head you could say there's a canon explanation for why the Doctor becomes a woman. And it's neither confirmed or denied this is the reason why it happens, but people can think that the reason the Doctor becomes a woman is because Cordell is part of Connie, and Connie turns into the 14th Doctor. And I'm not confirming or denying that. They wouldn't confirm or deny it in the show, but that is an explanation people can use to satisfy the canon heads if they want to, if they believe the Doctor just can't turn into a woman. Mainly, the reason I go with is that the Doctor just turns into a woman because Time Lords can regenerate between genders. Endgame or Genesis? What do you think would be better with as fans? I don't know. That's what you'd have to choose. You'll be able to tell me in 12:45, 12:46. Actually, 12:47 because we've got that annoying countdown. Because it's the video is 46 minutes long, which makes it the longest What If Doctor Was Announced video. And trust me, it was hard work. What do you think about Robert Carlyle as the Doctor or the Master? I don't know who he is, so I can't tell you that. Sorry. It isn't called Classic Q, it's called Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Part 1, Chapter 2, Part 2. Yes, sorry. It is. I mean, the poster specifically, not the actual movie. The post, okay, so with Hartnell, yeah, the poster, we just photoshopped it because I don't have the technology of Industrial Light and Magic to make CGI heads. But we photoshopped, Soundsmith Productions who did our poster. It was fantastic. He's done the theme for Genesis as well, and he did the theme for Nocticon Series 4, 5, 6, and 7. Fantastic. He's been a real help in this. I really want to thank him for all the work he's done. But yeah, I got him to Photoshop a picture of David Bradley as the first Doctor, and then Photoshop Hartnell's face over it. So that meant we had Bradley's body on there in the first Doctor's costume. So it wasn't just a picture of William Hartnell, it was literally a picture of Bradley with Hartnell's face, which I thought was very important, which gives it another sense of authenticity. Of course, in the canon of the actual universe, it would be a picture of the CGI model, but we can't achieve that because, well, I'm not John Knoll. I do another spin-off in the universe. You have to wait and see. You know, spoilers. Which other actors did you consider for 14th Doctor? We did consider, there were 4 actors we considered, really. 5 maybe. But I'm not gonna go. I've said this before. I'm not gonna tell you who they are, just in case we decide to use them for a future Doctor. So yeah. What would you like to see in a video game in the What Doctor Who universe? I'm not a very big video game person, as many people know. I don't really play video games at all, so I'm probably not the best person to ask this. But you video game lovers, tell me what you would like to see, because sure, stuff based upon episodes, based on certain monsters, based upon certain storylines, you could come up with something. Will Martin Campbell remain as an executive producer after Genesis? No. Genesis is his end. It's the end of Gary Russell. It's the end of Robert Sherman. It's the end of that era, really, before they really hand over to Ronald D. Moore and Jane Espenson. So no, Martin Campbell does leave after Genesis. Whether you like that or not, I don't know. But this is the end of the Martin Campbell trilogy. The sort of era from Vengeance to Genesis is sort of, you could say it as sort of the Martin Campbell era in a way. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, again, I've got to the end of the questions on there, so keep firing away. Was Peter Cushing friends with the First Doctor, and is this Doc from Members of the Daleks and in Universe fictionalization of Doctor's Adventures? I don't know. That's the association Stephen Moffat sort of had, isn't it? I don't know that's still not an estimation in this universe, because we know that the Peter Cushing Dalek movies are sort of canon in this universe, as we well know from Hark the Whipping Angels Sing, where the toy maker and the Valley make this sort of alternate universe, which turns out to be the Peter Cushing universe. So yeah, I can't wait for Genesis. Good. Well, you're gonna have to wait for another 40 minutes, but then you can watch it for the next 46 minutes after that, because it is 46 minutes long. God help everyone, because it took a long time to make, and if you are tired, like Robert Morrison is, certainly, because he has not been to sleep, it's going to be quite difficult to stay awake unless it's really, really engaging, which I hope it is, but it is a long while. Will we ever see the Penobscot characters again? Maybe. I'm not going to say anything like that, but the surviving Penobscot characters do have every chance of appearing again. And let's remember, Ronald D. Moore headed up Penobscot and now is in charge of Doctor Who, so it's not impossible. What happened to Stephen Moffat this time around? Will he return? Well, he was a script editor, and then he wrote 2 stories afterwards. He was served as a staff writer in season 43, and then he sort of left because it had his time. It's like Stephen Moffat had his time this time, and he said he's never going to return to Doctor Who. Like Russell T Davies says, never going to return to Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat did dabble a bit afterwards, but there's no reason really for him to return. So he probably went on and did a load of other shows. He probably did Sherlock, probably in this universe, and he probably did a bit more of Sherlock than we ended up actually getting this universe, and maybe it had more episodes or something. But he wouldn't have had to divide his attention. Maybe he would have. He probably would have. Those Tintin films he was supposed to do, was signed on to do a trilogy or something as proper screenwriter, but because of Doctor Who, that had to cut short. So he probably did that as well. There would have been a lot of stuff. The Martin Campbell films have a story arc. I just can't believe I realised that. They kind of do. It's a loose story arc, but all kind of works together. I'm doing another movie in the near future in your timeline. That is a secret. Spoilers again. I can't answer films like that. Which directors would you consider to direct Doctor Who Film 6? Again, this is sort of stuff which is secret. So, bloody hell, 46 minutes long. Yes, let's just be thankful it is only 46 minutes long, because it could have been a lot longer if I hadn't spoken so fast when recording it. Because, I was originally thinking it was going to end up being about an hour when I looked at the word count and was like, wow, it's about 1,500 words longer than Penobscot Series 7, and it's only 6 minutes longer as a video, and that is because of the reason that Penobscot Series 7 has a title sequence dangled through it, and movies don't have that. So that significantly cuts the runtime down. Without spoiling anything, it's Penobscot story Doctor, the final experience of the Rogue and Doctor Who franchise. It's the final appearance of any new footage of Timothy Dalton as the Rogue Doctor franchise, as we planned so far. Whether we haven't planned any appearances for the Rogue yet, so he's definitely not coming back in season 49 or 50. And that's because he has this time. The Rogue will probably return at some point because is one of those characters that writers will bring back at some point. Whether that's Timothy Dalton or not, we don't know. Probably not, because Timothy Dalton was only just persuaded to come back for Panopticon Series 7. So if the Rogue does return, it'll probably be a new actor. The Doctor Genesis destroyed my sleep schedule. 10 out of 10 Space Shark Productions. Yes, well, it destroyed my sleep schedule for many, many weeks too. The amount of work I'd put on this. You forget, but I haven't been to sleep either. I recorded Doctor Genesis at 10 o'clock yesterday, and I haven't been to sleep since the first thing I did when I woke up yesterday morning was record Doctor Genesis, and I've been editing it all yesterday, and then I uploaded it, and then these last few hours I've been gearing up for the release. So after Doctor Genesis, after I get the initial reactions, I'll probably have a quick nap before I wake up again and continue on. Of course, the main thing to do as soon as Doctor Genesis is out is make the wiki pages, make the discussion thread, see some of the initial reactions, and then I will see. Would you rather watch Love and Monsters and The Web Planet on repeat, or either be an editor for the name Shakespeare, William Shakespeare? Love and Monsters and The Web Planet, editing the name Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, would be an impossible task that you would have to fail at. In Love and Monsters, I actually mind. It's not particularly offensive. It's just a bit of a weak story. And The Web Planet is at least amusing, just for the end credits. How difficult was it to write this one? Very, very difficult. I wanted to get it out 20 days ago, which obviously on the third anniversary of What Drugs Been Axed, but obviously that was difficult. And we have it out 20 days later on the 13th of July, which is quite weird because, well, originally the plan was to get it out in May because we were supposed to double up videos each month, which obviously didn't happen. Did I procrastinate during the development of Genesis? Of course I did. I procrastinate on every video. And that's why it takes so long to do them, because solid work on them, 24/7 is ridiculous, and no creative energy comes out of that. Well, then Anti-Head, did you consider anyone else for the role of 11? I'm sure I did. I just have no records of who I did consider, and I cannot remember them for the life of me. So sorry, I can't answer that question. Hope you advocate for us later, Ben. Thank you, and I'm sure I will, if I can get to sleep. I'm sure that will happen at some point. 113 days after we revealed the title Doctor Genesis. Yes, has been a while. If I'd known it would be this long, I would have revealed the title Doctor Genesis much later on. But aren't you glad you've had that for a while? So we don't have to say DW5 or Doctor5 over and over again. At least we have some sort of reference to what it's actually called. Would David Tennant be a doctor in your universe as a doctor? No. How many times? He technically has played the Doctor, though, in Connie, because he was part of Connie. So there you go. If you're 10 fan, you've got Tennant in somewhere as a doctor. But Will Adams is his role, and he will not be returning because Will Adams was a very major role. And there's no chance of David Tennant returning as another character, especially the Doctor, because that would be very, very confusing and very, very unlikely. How much did Matt help you with this one? Not that much, actually. Matt really didn't have much to do with this one. Of course, he was initial ideas he was part of, 9 months ago when we first came up with it. And at one point, a few weeks ago, when I was having some real trouble making Genesis work, I did Skype him. I was like, okay, I need your help. Help me type some plot ends. And we worked through it, and we came up with a few ways to resolve parts of the plot. And then he went away again, and that's literally the only involvement he's had in Doctor Genesis. But yeah, that's... yeah. Matt didn't actually have much to do with this one. 49 he's had a lot to do with, and we've had an agreement that he should actually be writing some of the episodes up. Whether or not he would deliver on that, I don't know, because every time I've asked him to do anything for it, he's said he's busy, which is typical Matt. He's busy right now, sleeping. Sleep is for tortoises. I've been busy doing Doctor Genesis, getting this out for you, because I really care. Who else did you consider for 12? There was only one actress. Well, it was an actress actually. The only other person we considered for 12 was Imelda Staunton, who we very nearly had for 12. And then we decided on Patterson Joseph. But it was very close between Patterson Joseph and Imelda Staunton. So yeah, if I ever do a trailer for Plotkin Series 7, there's no way I'm showing Connie since I've no idea what you do. Why would Connie be in the trailer for Plotkin Series 7? Think about it. It'd be a massive, massive spoiler. There would only really be clips on sort of the first 5 episodes, and then after that you get into proper spoiler territory, and a trailer promoting the series at the very beginning would not include that. I'm doing another video in August, September. Hopefully, if I can get them out in time, hopefully season 49 part 1 should be out in August, season 49 part 2 in September. If that's how the plan go. And yes, if you haven't seen the announcement, season 49 will be split into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, because it's 16 episodes in total, 16 60-minute episodes, and the actual series will be split into 2 parts as a series, with the first half broadcasting in August 2014 and the second half broadcasting in spring, sort of 2014, 8 episodes in each part. So I'll be doing them as 2 separate videos. Because, well, if we did all 16 episodes in one video, we're being even longer than 46 minutes as this one. So hopefully we get back to sensible run times with season 49, part 1. But knowing me, it would be something ridiculous again. And season 49 combined might be very, very, very long. Anyway, 28 minutes to go. Ask me some more questions, and it will feel like a quicker length until actual Genesis, because we're doing something instead of you just sitting around twiddling your thumbs. So continue asking. Would Richard Griffith still play Uncle Vernon? Yes, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. I think he'd be known for Harry Potter and Doctor Who. And I think kids would have very much liked to see, it's the Doctor in Harry Potter playing Uncle Vernon, and I think they would like that as well. So yes, he definitely would. And conventions, he would have, his sign would say Richard Griffiths, Doctor Who / Harry Potter, and he'd probably have pictures of both of those. And yeah, I think he'd be very well known for both of those. And definitely, Richard Griffiths is still playing Uncle Vernon. Best Plotkin Series 4 episode, Rapture. No, probably Election Day or Tied Up, Sailor V, one of those. Reasons of the Rhyme was it. I think there's some very strong episodes in Series 4. That whole final arc and Reasons of Rhymes, I think, are the strongest. Would you do the same for season 50 as planned for season 49? If you mean the format, will that be the same as season 50? You have to wait and see, but that's going to sort of spoiler territory. But use your common sense, because it will be the same Doctor, it will be the same production team. So yeah. Richard Griffiths, would there be add-ons to costume like transfer coat, something like that? Probably. I think a lot of times he would have worn it without the coat, with just sort of the jumper and the shirt. I think there were been times where he didn't wear the jumper. There were times where he wore a waistcoat. There was some times where he didn't wear a tie. I think he would have customized it quite a lot, but it would sort of be that same basic look. Richard Griffiths probably wouldn't go to conventions. I think it'd be at the odd one. I think it probably would have been at the Doctor Who 40th anniversary convention, and other ones. I don't think it would be like at every single convention that ever is, like even the small ones, like some Doctor Who stars. But I think at the big ones he would appear at. What is the best anniversary story before the movie? The Three Doctors is the only anniversary in our universe that I can actually stand. I think the Five Doctors is actually a appalling story. It's not very good at all. Apart from get the gimmick of it's got all the doctors in, it's pretty poor story. And the Day of the Doctor, less said about that, the better, because, well, if you know my views on the Day of the Doctor, I don't think it's very good. I think it's quite disappointing. Would Adventure Space Time happen this time? And if so, who would appear at the end of it? I don't know. It will not happen at the time of the 50th anniversary. I know that for a fact, because, well, you've got David Bradley doing Adventure Space Time, and then you've got doing the 50th anniversary at the same time. It's just not going to happen. So either it happened at the 40th anniversary, as Mark Gatiss originally planned in this timeline, which could very well have happened, or it happened sometime later. But it's not happening. So it definitely didn't happen on the 50th anniversary. So if it happened this timeline, it would happen on the 40th, or it happened at another time, just not around the 50th. Would you consider Sean Pertwee as a Universal Extra Doctor? No, I don't think so. Sean Pertwee has said himself that he's not really interested in playing the Doctor, so no. Would 8 wear the same glasses for each story? I think it would mix them up a bit between seasons and stuff. It's just what the look the costume designer is going for. Prediction: season 50 will be a bit weird since it won't be anniversary season with anniversary stuff. Yeah, that is a bit weird with the numbering, but no, it's just a normal season. It's it's the Chapter 4 Series 2. So look at that if you want. Yeah, there's nothing special about it really. There's no anniversary stuff. So yeah. Ben, shouldn't you like Half Infinity since Colin Baker's in it? I like Colin Baker. I like the Sixth Doctor. He's my favourite Doctor. Sort of him and William Hart are sort of tied. But Arc of Infinity is a terrible story, so I don't like it because it's a terrible story. And simply that. I don't like something because an actor's in it. I like something because it's a good story. Actors are a bonus. Right. We have just over 20 minutes, around 25 minutes, 24 minutes. Again, ask away. Oh, yeah, my throat is very sore. Probably shouldn't have done all this talking while I'm quite tired. Caffeine has kept me awake quite a lot. So apologies if my throat gets a bit grisly. Right, continue asking questions. I am at the end of all the questions I have at the moment. I know there's a bit of a delay, so as I'm saying this, I've probably got about 50 questions on the screen. Just, type them in, and I can answer them. Just, as I said, no ones that are too spoilery that I literally can say I can't give you any answers to that, because I can't give you any answer to that. Given how much of your recent videos are more detailed and a lot of hard work goes into them, is it more likely to begin videos like that every 2 months? No, because I want the videos to come out once every month, and I think it should be easier going forward. And yeah, they are going to make the same sort of detail. I would never say the rule of thumb once every 2 months. And then again, originally it was going to be once every week, which didn't last very long. I think what's more likely to happen, and it has been happening, it's sort of once every month and a half, because it's been a month and a half since the last one, and before that was a month and a half. So I think it's more of a month and a half gap that seems to be happening. But I'm still going to say one every month, and let's see what happens. If you're to be right for Doctor Who, would you draw inspiration from these original stories? I'd draw inspiration from what? Just Doctor Who I like. I don't think, I don't know, some stuff on, the influence by everything you do, the amount of stuff Stephen Moffat's reused, some stuff he did before Doctor Who and stuff like that in Doctor Who, it's ridiculous. And you are influenced by everything, so, I don't know. As a result from the big Panopticon vote come in, there's 4 votes in it, and there's loads of ones with 0 points, so, yes, unless everyone, and I mean like 20 people vote in it, we can't get any accurate results. Would you consider the Doctor having a romantic relationship with a same-sex companion? I'm not too big on the Doctor having a romantic relationship, because I see the Doctor as, in my own headcanon, as kind of asexual, and wouldn't be interested in someone who is so significantly younger than him, or her now. So I'm not against same-sex relationships, obviously. If you know me, definitely not. But I am against the Doctor having a romantic relationship. But I'm not against companions having that. And certainly we might be seeing that. But no, I don't think we'll be seeing that with the Doctor anytime soon. Did David Tennant still marry Georgia Moffat? No, unfortunately. I don't see any way you can make it work, unless they worked on another show with each other. But she isn't an episode of Panopticon. I did intend to get into Panopticon somewhere, but just didn't happen. There was nothing that was right for her, and I guess I think I kind of forgot. But there's nothing to get them working with each other around that time period anymore. So, unfortunately, I don't think it happened. Unless they met some other way. They might have just still met through Peter Davison because he's part of the Doctor universe. But in all likelihood, no, which is a shame. Have you had Mark Gatiss universe? Yes, he in fact wrote the 6th Doctor's Regeneration story, the Suicide Expedition. and he's written a few other stuff as well. Is he coming back soon? I don't know. There's no plan to bring him back, but never say never because, well, yeah, New Who is just a comedy drama. That's not a bad thing. Doctor Who's always been funny. Look at season 17. I don't mind comedy and drama. I didn't say that's a bad thing. I think Doctor Who should be like that. It's ultimately popularist. I know we're really obsessive fans and stuff, but Doctor Who is brilliant because it's such a popularist science fiction family show. And I've said this before. I love Doctor Who because it is that quintessential family show that we can just have fun with. And yeah, comedy drama. As much as I really don't like the Stephen Moffat era, I have to give it props to how funny it is. And how engaged, how at parts, not always, because the fan service he put in did kind of ruin it, but a lot of it, if you strip away the fan service, is very approachable for a casual viewer, for just the family. All the jokes do, I think, really work. It's just wish it hadn't been shrouded by such alienating rubbish around it. But yeah, because if Stephen Moffat can do something, he can write comedy, as proven in the fact that he was a sitcom writer. So yeah, right, we have about 15 minutes to go, so more questions come in. Let's see. If New Who is axed, would you do a series on that? No, because really I just can't be arsed. This series has spawned into a lot more than I thought it is. And yeah, I don't think I'll be doing another one anytime soon, because I have to finish this first, which is still going to take a few years. I'm not the first person to realise this, but you may have prevented the birth of David Tennant's kids. Good thing this timeline's not real then, because that is, well, no, it's not necessarily taking away lives, but it's the potential of what never happened. Clara's leaf. How wonderful the rings of Akatane is. There you go. Right. Again, continue asking away. Still got 15 minutes. Right. I don't have any more questions at the moment, so I will just talk about something, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, give me questions. What are you drinking? I'm drinking water. It is hydrogen and oxygen, and it's so my throat doesn't completely explode. I was drinking tea earlier, that I finished that, and you can fit a lot more water into glass than tea because you don't tend to make big glasses of tea. Will Tom Baker be the creator of the universe? No. That's what I'm saying. That no. Because there's literally no reason that. Did they rebuild Ford's console room in 2003? Yes. Yes, they did. All the Doctor's console rooms were rebuilt for those ones. I think what they would have done is, for the classic ones, they would have built Fours first, and then when they were filming the next story, which would have been King of the Santamas, they customized it, that set, converted it into the Fifth Doctor's TARDIS, which there's not actually much conversion you need to do. You just need to put pylons in the set. You need to just change the console about. And then the Sixth Doctor's is very similar to the Fifth Doctor's. There would have been little modifications. Seventh Doctor's very similar again. Eighth Doctor, they would have had to rebuild that from scratch. Maybe they had it in storage. I don't know. I think stuff would have been hide out from sort of collectors and stuff. Eighth Doctor again, depends what they've done with that. And then Ninth Doctor, but yeah. What sort of viewing figures do you think Confident would have gotten? Decent viewing figures. I don't think they've been ridiculously high. I think just 6 million, sort of around the 6 million mark. Sort of figures for sort of Series 8 and Series 9 and Doctor, that sort of thing. I think they would have been surprisingly much higher in America, since it is sort of an American show, and CBS, I think, would have really pushed Cold Front. So yeah. But I think Cold Front would have picked up a lot more in sort of the years since on streaming services. I think sort of after it finished, people would sort of pick up on that show a bit more. Will 14 have a new TARDIS console? You'll have to wait and see in 15 minutes. Well, sometime in the video, not necessarily right at the start of the video, because well, she's got to get a TARDIS back first, and last we knew, the TARDIS was on Gallifrey, and well, we know what's happened to Gallifrey now, so she's got to get a TARDIS back, and she's stuck on Earth now in 2013. Not sure this happened already, but did Big Finish happen this time or not? No, it didn't happen, because there's no point for it to happen. Big Finish was made in the World of Sneers sort of to continue Doctor Who, and it has no reason to exist, so no, it does not exist. And what comes in its place? Doctor Who, TV Doctor Who in the 90s and early noughties and the rest. So no, I have said this on multiplications. Big Finish doesn't happen. Other than the name Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, what would be the least likely story of this timeline? The societal step. So yeah, would the Doctor have a TARDIS tea machine? I don't know. Up to your own headcanon. There's nothing said to my video to suggest that they do or don't. But the Doctor likes tea, so I won't put it past them. What's this I've heard about the 12th Doctor's ear being bit off? Yes, in the facade, in a brutal scene, the facade, the 12th Doctor's ear gets bitten off, which spawned an idea from a Photoshop error I made, which actually, sort of enhanced the facade because it shows a horrible racist culture where someone bites his ear off. On the first movie poster, 4 and 6 look younger. Will Tom Baker and Conor Baker wear wigs? Probably, yeah. Yes. 12's ear was bitten off on the facade and remained that way until regenerated. Yes. Would you be doing a crossover universe where the Doctor meets James Bond? We kind of had that. Where was it? It was a Doctor story on the side of James Bond. James Bond doesn't exist in the Doctor universe. It as I say, it exists. James Bond as a character doesn't, but there's the film James Bond films exist in the Doctor universe because they've been referenced multiple times, and you can only time travel twice is a homage to James Bond, where the Doctor references James Bond and is like, oh, I'm going to go James Bond now. So he can't meet James Bond because James Bond is a franchise which exists within the Doctor universe. Samantha Bond played Moneypenny in the Bronson films. Yes, which is very confusing, but there's many things like actors from Star Trek and Star Wars which have appeared in Doctor Who in this universe, and Star Trek and Star Wars are both referenced in the show as things. Even in The Idiot's Lantern, the Doctor references Kylie Minogue, which is very confusing from a canon point of view, considering Kylie Minogue played Astrid in The Voyage of the Damned a year later. Yeah. Who did Samantha Bond playing Doctor Who in real life? She played Mrs. Wormwood in the Sarah Jane Adventures. She was sort of the main villain in the Sarah Jane Adventures. She appeared in 2 stories as the villain, which is technically New Who. I count it as New Who because it fits in with sort of that New Who villain. So a trend people have noticed. But when I cast Samantha Bond, I didn't realise that until Matt pointed it out. I was like, oh, it fits in with it, kind of, if you stretch it. Yes, so she played Mrs. Wormwood, the evil villainess in the first Sarah Jane Adventures story in the finale series 2. Vengeance or Revelation, what is better? I prefer Vengeance personally, but both of them are good, I think. What do you think of Jodie Whittaker's first season? I actually really like Series 11. There's ways I would improve it, obviously, but it did well. It did, and people are like, Jodie Whittaker's first season was successful. Series 11 wasn't successful, but it was. From the BBC's point of view, it was remarkably successful. It got good. It got really good reviews from actual critics, not people moaning down their microphones and keyboard warriors, actual proper critics. And it got very high audience figures for Doctor Who, that especially since the previous years. So it was an out-and-out success, and most of the stories I really liked. It was only the Serang Conundrum and Arachnids in the UK that I thought were poor, and the rest of them I really liked. Even the Ghost Monument, which I didn't really like at the time. I've rewatched that and I love it now. So yeah, I really enjoyed Series 11. And I guess the positivity is something I really liked. It was really just fun to watch. It felt like Doctor Who was back. It felt just like a breath of fresh air. And I know some people didn't like that, but I really liked it. There are a few problems with it. Of course, the biggest one being Yaz, and some of 13's characterization. But I think that's just going to be ironed out. But yeah, I really enjoyed it in all in all. I thought 12's ear bitten off was just a joke. I'm just a bit too silly to be canon. The CGI is costing too much for the little thing like that. No, they can do it because it doesn't take too much to do that makeup and stuff, and it's only for a few stories. It would be fun. It's not silly. It's horrifying. Seriously, someone being bitten off is silly. If it's done in a comedic way, yes, but the facade is a horrifying, realistic, and brutal story, and someone's ear being bitten off, especially the doctor, is terrifying. So yeah, I wouldn't use silly to describe it. Anyway, we have 10 minutes to go, so strap in. At 58 minutes past, I'll be kicking everyone off the stream and moving them over to the Doctor Genesis premiere because I don't want anyone to miss it. Anyway, will the Valiard master and the Rogue come back? You'll have to wait and see. The Valiard's not going to come back now because he's dead. He's dealt with, out the way. The Rogue, I've already answered. And the Master, you'll have to wait and see. I like the visual in Kablam. I don't exactly know about the visual, but do you mean the direction? I like Kablam. Kablam's one of my favourite in Series 11. So yeah. What do you think of the Jim Bean Series 12? I'm excited for it. I'm glad we got some sort of returning monsters, and I'm glad it's sort of a new Who returning monster because we haven't really had that yet, like a proper actual like new Who monster, which is actually quite old now. Actually, sort of returning in the series, and I'm interested to see what Chris Chibnall or whatever writer actually writes the story will do with them. I hope. My only problem with the Jadoon, and I don't know if I haven't really heard anyone say this, but basically the Jadoon are literally the Ogwans. They're literally the same race. There's nothing different about them. They're hired thugs who go around. They're hired by the Shadow Approximation. They're not really police. They're hired by whoever, and they do whatever. They're literally the Ogwans. There's literally no difference apart from the design, which is kind of disappointing. Just use the Ogwans. But I like the Jadoon for what they are. It's just pretty much a shame they're basically the exact same race as the Ogwans. And I saw in Nazi France apparently, which I think would be interesting. Nazi occupied France is actually an era I'm very interested in. But let's see what we get because, will Griffith still do Pie in the Sky? I think he would. I think it would just be slightly later, just like a year later, or how it fits into his era. But I don't see any reason he wouldn't do that. Because Pie in the Sky is wonderful. I love Pie in the Sky. I don't know how many of you have watched it on the stream, but Pie in the Sky, yeah, it's good. Me too. Arachne Cable said, but it's good. Yeah, it needed to be an hour long, and then perhaps it could have got a proper ending, and been developed more. But yes, I think Chibnall should not be writing 5 stories. Well, writing 4, co-writing 1, stories in a season because, Resolution included, you got 6, because. Yeah, it's too much for him as shown by those last 2. Very bad. Well, the best Scottish Master Doctor in the universe. Again, spoilers. Well, yes, there was a Scottish Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. I mean, like CGI in the story. Don't know what you're going on about. Don't know what that's in relation to. So, without spoiling, does 14's main companion play a Captain Outlander? No. It's no. The only thing I can give you about 14's companion is that they were in a film which also starred David Tennant. They don't really have many scenes together, but they happen to be in a film that starred David Tennant. They're just an actor that me and Matt thought would be very good for it and make sense for Andy Pryor casting and all that sort of stuff. But that's the only clue you're getting. Trying to work out who that is would be very difficult. There you go. Why did you change the thumbnails? Because I wanted a consistent look for the What Does Hacks videos. And my normal channel thumbnails for any normal videos will remain the same as sort of the normal ones, but those are all just the same. Would you consider a story about a Dalek fighting with the Doctor / a story enemy as the main character? I don't know. If Ian Richardson was still alive to make a great Scottish Master, yes, he would. Unfortunately, he died in 2007, so there you go. Pie in the Sky is brilliant. Yes, it is. It is brilliant. It's one of my favourite shows, actually. I don't know why I didn't mention earlier, actually. Yes, Pie in the Sky is brilliant. I've only really seen Pie in the Sky through footage for Gavin for fan trailers. You should watch it. They're all on the internet somewhere. I think they're having YouTube on them, Daily Motion or something. Watch it. It's good. And if not, get the box set. Griffiths is brilliant in it. You know, and I think, well, a lot of how he plays his character in that, I think, is, you know, very similar to how he would have played the Doctor, I think. And there's a lot of the Doctor which shines through that performance and just convinces me, you know. I have this image in my mind, Griffiths sort of around the TARDIS console being the Doctor, and that's what sort of sold me on Griffiths as the Doctor, just this image of him in that season 27 sort of console as the Doctor. I don't know. If you were to recast the Master in the 92, would you recast? I don't know. Will the Stranger Things titles be more or less like the Leftover intro and very similar? I don't know. I've told you the story about Leftover series 3 times and the massive coincidence / possible subconscious coding in my mind, because I hadn't even seen Stranger Things at that point when I made it. I'd probably seen the titles at some point on Twitch or something. But anyway, I told the story before. Anyway, we're just literally getting to the last question now, because I'm going to boot everyone off here and move everyone over to the premiere pretty soon. So we'll be updating the Watch Doctor title like season 28 ones. Yes, I will be, when I'm not up in my head with season 49, Genesis, all this sort of stuff. Season 29, 30, 31 and 32 will be done at some point in the near future. It's just I am very busy at the moment. So yes, would you have David Jason Universe? There are no plans to have him at the moment, and I don't think he's appeared in anything before. So no. Right. Is 14 Companions of Harry Potter Goblet of Fire just a theory? No, they are not. Anyway, that's the last question. I'm accepting no other questions now, even if they're good ones. And basically, everyone leave now. Leave this. I don't care. Go over to the What If Doctor Wasn't Axed video, Doctor Genesis, and go and get ready for that. And I know you've got a very super countdown which will start and take ages to get into it, but move over. It's premiere in 60 seconds according to this, which I know isn't actually very accurate, but move over. All right, so I'm going to go now. Goodbye. Enjoy Doctor Genesis for the next 46 minutes. Until the next time, goodbye. See ya.